Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. We are in an age and time where data plays a very prominent role in marketing. All the companies around us and all the businesses around us, including digital marketing practitioners, are slightly shifting their focus from focusing on mere marketing campaign execution to something which is called as data-driven marketing. Now, this is a very interesting space because when you look at data-driven marketing, what are you talking about? Are you talking about collecting a bunch of data and putting that into a meaningful format? For example, what analytics does. Analytics, age-old traditional analytics or web analytics as we called it, did nothing than collecting data and then processing it and presenting it to you in a format. Now, it solved problems to a greater extent, no doubt. It really helped you give some perspective to the data that you collected, whether it is raw data or data which is dissected in the form of what's the traffic from paid ads, what is the conversion related data, were you able to achieve your conversion goals? No doubt it really helped us put things in perspective, and we also were able to make many meaningful decisions over the last few years. But is that enough is the big question that we need to ask today in 2022 and going forward. Is this enough? That's exactly what we're talking about. And stay tuned. My name is Casey. We would be talking about web analytics versus predictive analytics. All right, welcome back. What is web analytics? Web analytics is mere presentation of data that has been collected from various sources of traffic through various channels to your website and putting it in a meaningful format. When you talk about this data that you're talking about is the data pertaining to the events that had already happened in the past. We are not looking at things as they're happening. We are not looking into the future. We are just looking at things that happened in the past and trying to understand what happened. In most of the cases, this is enough, but it's already done. Now, what are you going to do about it? Maybe you can interpret these learnings and you can implement whatever you have learned in your campaigns so that you can capitalize on what already has happened in the past. But what are the chances that the same pattern might repeat itself? Or do you get any suggestions from the system looking at the data that happened in the past? Not much. So that is where things have moved towards something called as predictive analytics. Web analytics is something that you're looking at, which is about things that have already happened in the past, and you're trying to infer some findings from this data. Predictive analytics, on the other hand, is something where you have the functionality of not just looking at this data, but also try and make meaningful predictions of what might happen in the future based upon what has happened in the past. Now this involves data being fed into machine learning algorithms that would greatly help you in understanding what could happen in the days to come forward based upon the patterns of the past. It uses existing data and determines patterns and try and predict what may be the outcomes in the future. Now let's get something really straight here. It is not a tool that will blindly predict what will happen in the future. You feed in good data, you get good results. You feed in bad data, it will lead to a disaster. The data that we're talking about is collected from all your paid campaigns, from all your organic traffic, from all the marketing activities that you're doing. Now, if this data is bad, if it is inaccurate, your predictions will be inaccurate. Now, the data from different sources that you are able to collect will be fed into systems which have the ability to predict what might happen. Now, based upon these things, TechTarget defines that analytics can be classified into five models or modes of analytics. What you see on your screens, ladies and gentlemen, are the 5 modes of analytics or 5 models of analytics, namely descriptive analytics, real-time analytics, diagnostic analytics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. Now, when you look at real-time analytics, it sometimes also can be considered as cognitive analytics, which looks at the context of your data, not just mere numbers. So let's go over these, what each of these mean. Descriptive analytics gives an overview of the data of what has happened in the last few years, months, whatever. Now, what this does is, this is basically what your standard universal analytics used to do. You look at the data about things that had happened in the past, and then you try to interpret this data, try to analyze this data, and come up with meaningful presentation. The second thing that we're talking about here is real time, which is it gives you data up to the minute in real time about what is happening. The real time analysis looks at a lot of powerful algorithms, and it is trying to identify things that are happening in real time. For example, a better example for this would be something like what Hotjar does or any heat map tool does. So it is capturing recordings of what the users are doing on a particular website. What is the scroll activity? What is the area of focus? Where are they focusing most of their time on your website? Now these things fall under real-time analytics. Then you have something called as diagnostic analytics, which talks about which helps you identify reasons for certain things. Why did certain thing didn't happen? Why did certain thing happen? Or what are the reasons that users bounced more on a particular day, on a given day. Now these are diagnostic analytics, which looks at why something has happened, what went right and what went wrong. Then you have predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics. As the name suggests, predictive analytics looks at the data that is already there. This data is fed into the most powerful systems like the machine that use machine learning algorithms and AI algorithms, and this kind of predicts what might happen if things go the same. If you understand what I mean, making any tweaks to this data will change your predictions, right? Then you have prescriptive analytics, which not just looks at the data and try to predict what happens, but it also tells you suggestive measures. A best example for this would be your page speed insights that Google talks about. Now, when you look at the page speed insights, it also looks at where you went wrong, what is happening wrong, and it also gives you suggestions as to what you may do to improve on that, right? Now, these are suggestions that these systems will give you based upon something like recommendations in Google Ads is a very good example to understand about prescriptive analytics, right? If you increase your bids by 10%, this would be the ROI, this would be the return on investment for that, right? So these are some examples of what might happen with prescriptive analytics as well. Let's understand what is predictive analytics used for. Predictive analytics can be used by marketers for a lot of things to efficiently organize and execute things like understanding consumer behavior. If you look at certain behavior if your traffic is showing you exhibiting a certain sort of user or consumer behavior, you know what to do and it will also predict that if this continues, if X continues, Y could happen. Now, if you want to change that, you can look at these predictive analytics metrics, and it will also be able to predict that what might happen if you tweak something. So that will help you understand the consumer behavior. Optimize resources and spend basically means spend your money only when there are results coming in or where there are results coming in. If you are not getting results somewhere and the model is predicting that it might not give you better results if you proceed at this rate, consider changing something, right? Then you have qualify and prioritize leads. You can use this predictive data to understand how you can qualify these leads better and make sure you have very less spend, and you can invest your time and resources where it actually matters. Then you have retain customers. Obviously, retaining customers is as important as acquiring new customers, because it is one of the cost-effective ways to retain a customer than to invest some money, than to invest your time and resources and ad spends to gain new acquisitions of new customers. So this data will also help you understand how do you retain more customers in a better way. So basically, understanding more about predictive analytics, you need to understand that artificial intelligence and machine learning powers this predictive analytics, and it obviously has a large role to play in marketing, and it also brings to life new features and advanced technologies like omni-channel marketing, where you can look at what's happening on all channels at once, look at all the channels in a unified fashion to add more context to your data. Along with it, it helps you with things like features like dynamic pricing and dynamic landing pages, where you can serve dynamic content to people, really help your marketing to go to the next level. So based upon predictive analytics, machine learning and AI marketing capabilities can offer dynamic pricing, automated sales forecasts, automated content creation, and real-time personalization. So based upon all these things, the whole goal of this session is to understand web analytics is not the same as predictive analytics. Thank you so much. My name is Casey. Ciao. I have also included a link to my new analytics course that's launching in September, and there's an attractive pre-offer if you really want to register for it now. No pressure, go for it if you really like it. Thank you so much. My name is Casey. Ciao.